So all I'm saying is that reference to the cases of alleged corruption, some cited the payments of the feeding during COVID and all that. All I'm saying is that we should do our best not to do the trial on radio. That's all I'm saying. Because that path is a dangerous path, where someone in the eye of the public is guilty, when probably they've not even told their side of the story. So it is just a way to the end. Sometimes we even throw details into the air as if we are doing the trial. But in court, Sami knows better than me that the processes allow the other side to lay their case. I remember Zoom Lion was cited by a particular report and even said he should refund some monies. Doc, when he went to the Supreme Court, the judges said this kind of work, always from the AG. I mean, it's not foolproof, like, that's not what should happen. So if you are not careful, and just from the AG's report, you go and hang Zoom Lion, you would realize that you've not been too fair to him. So he's a lawyer. I know he wants power, manche. Power he will in your way, but at least we have to. The hope I gave to Doc is not false hope. It's not empty hope. It's not unfounded hope. It's not just hope. If we'll be frank, businesses have started picking up at most places. I mentioned Aliza when I talk about difficulties. Now there are more people now at Aliza because the economy is opening up. The world is opening up. That is recovery in that area. The one who visits my spend, that is recovery. We shut our borders. Obviously, if you shut your border, any trade happening would suffer, Doc. If you open, activities peak. And that's why growth moved from 0.4, 0.5 in 2020 to about in 2025. In 2022 or so. When I checked, the growth bounced back. I mean, we 2022, we did, I think, 4 or so. But yes, 5.36. That was, I think, 2021 growth from 0.5. Immediately, it tells you that you're on a recovery path. Although, admittedly, it came down to about 2 point something. But in all this, the good news is that it's even positive. Some countries are actually experiencing negative growth. And look, one of the most disciplined, I give it to them, countries in the world, when it comes to economic management, because of their history, is Germany. They are one of those few countries that don't just go on a how do you call it? In terms of the macroeconomics, they are careful about shifts that can lead to hardship because of the hunger they experienced during World War II, Doc. But for the first time in several years, Germany is experiencing negative growth. Please, if anybody tells you now the German politicians are reckless, it's not true. They are facing serious external shocks. Every German manager will tell you the Ukraine crisis, the COVID war has affected them. These are examples of economic, what's the word? When you talk about guruship, endowment with economic, it's Germany. They are in recession. Why? Because they depended heavily on Russian gas. The prices have escalated. Now their production is suffering. They are not able to keep the production prices. But Sami wouldn't tell you this. Sami wants power. Doc, I didn't give false and empty hope. Again, if you look at even the prices of petrol, I mean oil, as the online man was saying, when it went up, it affected a lot of people in their pockets. It affected cost of production. They've gone down compared to how they were at first. That reduction helps recovery in a particular factory. So it's not empty hope I'm giving, Doc. Even our fiscal deficit. Our deficits were huge during the COVID time. It's not the same numbers you are seeing. Immediately, your indicators start to improve. It reflects in life. So, Doc, I just want to make the point that this is someone whose record, and I mean, when I say record, of course it will be with the Kufuor regime, would match that of Jamal. In fact, a lot of the spotlight is not on JM because, understandably, it's like we have not yet had a flag bearer. But politics, I always say, is comparative. We'll discuss JM's strengths and weaknesses and match it against the current challenges of the state and tell whether he's got the wherewithal to bring the hope that Sami is preaching. UMB, their CEO, recently made comments that at least the banks are seeing some form of profits. The level of difficulty they had in terms of profit levels, just post the pandemic, things have gotten better, although it's not at where they want it. When we talk about recovery, the hope I spoke about, is to show places where things were difficult and that there are signs of recovery. Again, Doc, you use the word exacerbation to remind my brother's counsel, Sami, that we are not saying there weren't price increases. Of course, Ghana as a country, from the statistics I gave, even from JM's time, Mills' time, Rollins' time, if our inflation is average 10, 15, let's say 13%, what it means is that prices go up an average of that percentage. So really, nobody is saying prices were not going up. But some jumps, oh, please.
That's what I said.
As for the word alarming you used, it was political alarming.
Because 27, please.
You know, Sami, please, I quoted the inflation. The inflation was it. Yes. You know that if you say prices go up, someone say, but is that news? So you added the word alarming. But if you look at the inflation, and you are being frank, the price inflation we were having before COVID, I mentioned the jump. It was not.
Look, and had increased from 27 Ghana cedis in December 2016 to 52 Ghana cedis after December 2021. Almost 100% increase. Is that not alarming?
You are a fine lawyer. So the point I'm making is that the exacerbation point to Sami, it is apt. It is only a politician who wants power, and well, I can't blame him. It's natural. Who ran away from it? The levels of increase post the pandemic. And look, I think book no lie. Let me read this. I'll read this, mention an experience, and then Doc Obanyewa Ashia. This on Ivory Coast. The IMF, the Ivory Coast has gone for an IMF program. All right. The IMF supported program would aim to preserve fiscal and debt sustainability and advance the authorities' reform agenda for deeper economic transformation under the 2021-2025 National Development Plan. The authorities have taken measures to strengthen macroeconomic stability and reverse widening fiscal and external imbalances as the economy has been hit, this is Ivory Coast, hit hard by the triple shock of the COVID-19 pandemic, this is IMF writing about the Ivory Coast, global financing tightening, and adverse spillovers from the Russia's war in Ukraine. Look, if these things are mentioned in Accra, Sami will say, don't say these things here. Go and check Ivory Coast. How can they do well?
Inflation rates of Ivory Coast.
But Doc,
have they defaulted on their debts?
Sami, be patient. You see, this is telling you that when we talk about things having universal application, now, if I had mentioned these things here, and surprisingly, when JM went to Harvard, he mentioned some of these things. No. Now, again, Sami said inflation. By the way, if you talk to any economist, they can send you messages. The structure of the Francophone countries when it comes to their monetary policy is not like that of the Anglo, which is true. Any economist will explain to you. Their reserves are not like ours, where we are depending on reserves and gold vaults. They have alliance to France. And there is a price to pay. Doc, I will not go into the price to pay. Because of that, the kind of flexibility they have to determine what happens to their cities is not like ours. We can have a national conversation when I want to shift to a...
But there are two issues there, Dr. Okoe Boye. First of all, I believe that you are aware that not all African Francophonie economies are the same.
All right, no problem. I'll take it.
Despite the fact that they are so the Ivorian economy and the Guinean economy or the Burkinabe economy are not the same. So the impression should not be created that because of that association, it is like autopilot. They are running a system. It also takes the ingenuity and vision of those running the place to deal with it.
No, of course, they have factors.
Two, on the issue of COVID, it's a global thing. That's how come it's a pandemic.
But they mentioned the Ukraine war.
Nobody can. Even Ukraine war, nobody can. You see?
But here they're ridiculous.
No, Doc, hold on. No, but Doc, hold on. The question that you and those in government ought to be addressing is that if what we are suffering is as a result of these twin or triplet situations, how come that countries are affected differently? We have all been hit by the same thing. Yet, some are on their feet. Some are wobbling. Some are disabled.
No problem.
In the state of comatose, like Ghana.
So, if you go and read Cote d'Ivoire, and somebody says that Cote d'Ivoire is able to pay its debt.
They still have access to the international.
It is not done a DDEP. It's not doing all the things that it's doing.
Yeah.
All the things that is happening to you is not happening to them.
Look, I get you.
So, what is it that despite something that hit everybody, as for you, your situation is worse than everybody else?
Look, I get you. But you know, if all the other people are here or listen to speak the way you are speaking, I would not be talking much.
That's exactly what we've been saying.
Because you have said that all have been hit by the same 2 or 3 things, but at different levels. It's true. There are other factors you have to look at, which I agree with you. But when you speak to them, they don't even want to hear the impact of the pandemic. Please, let me speak. When you speak to them, when you mention Russia, they ridicule it. It's deliberate. No,
is it because you also, in your communication, seeks to hide behind them and blame everything on them?
All right, I get you. I think it's a fair question. I have never, and most of our folks say that there are local factors which you can attribute to us. Everything wasn't perfect before COVID hit, Doc. I mean, our debt to GDP ratio.
By the way, we've done 20 minutes.
Was not okay. No problem. You did 25. was not was not a healthy indicator.
Yes.
So there were some that were not healthy. When I say healthy, were not like how I would have wished. So they are local factors. Again, if a country is hugely exposed to the external market in terms of what we consume, what you eat, and all that, and your levels of impact when there is food insecurity can be different. So even the differences can be based on the level of exposure and also be based on your economic management, which I agree. You got what I mean? So if anybody has a very
your level of exposure is also a result of your economic management.
I agree with you. So my point is that if someone puts a whole gamut of these issues on the dashboard, I'll be calm and then let us have a nice conversation. But where you are laughed at because in your conversation you came out.
Has somebody laughed at somebody on this platform? Who is laughing at you?
I'm not.
In fact, even Dr. Okoe Boye, as a doctor, understands this principle more than all of us here.
Even with the same COVID. COVID and underlying conditions.
That when these things hit you, even the COVID itself, as human beings, how it affects us is dependent on
the underlying conditions.
No, that is true. But I'm happy you've mentioned this analogy. So if you take it to like what I'm trying to say, it's like having 10 people having different forms of weakness in terms of their activity, physical exertion, and saying that, oh, none of them should say that they have COVID. You can say that, I see that the symptoms are different in you. So maybe your weight and your existing underlying also have contributed. But at least if you let the people know that, oh, they've had COVID, then they will have some respite and go into the issues you are raising with them. That's the point I'm making. And then finally, Doc, this talk of inflation, where we create the impression, oh, it's 45. Who in the world has 45? Again, the details will explain to you what is happening. The UK had an inflation rate of 0.8 in 2020 at the time of the pandemic. Doc, as we speak, it's 6.84. When you divide 6.84 by it, that's if you want to see the multiplication, how that impact, the rate at which prices appear, the percentage, is about 8.55. So what it means that it has gone up, inflation has gone up about 800% in the UK, in terms of prices and all that. In Ghana, we were doing an average of 9. That's at least the Akufo-Addo government, not 50.4 or something under JM. If today is 45, it's 9.5, that is 45. So it means that our inflation has gone up about 500%. So sometimes, that's why, and you know better, that's why sometimes some people will express some impacts, not in nominal terms. They will give you percentages. Because that is a reflection. So in the UK, people are saying that they don't know whether they can survive winter. Because you might think that inflation is only 6.8. But compared to what they used to experience, it's alarming. We are not going to use the word alarming. So all I'm trying to say is that what we are experiencing, ours is 5 times. UK, you check, is 8 times. You check Germany 4 times. Morocco, there were protests there. Price of bread, Egypt, over check, they say it's gone up 5 times. Why is it that when you enter every jurisdiction, things which were not happening already have started happening? There you realize that there is a turmoil. Of course, there are local factors. Let's be bold to mention the turmoil and then go into the details.
No,